Have you ever wondered what makes someone commit horrific crimes? Psychologists have spent years studying the minds of serial killers, trying to understand what drives them to do the unthinkable. These individuals don't just break the law, they break every moral and ethical boundary, creating chaos without any clear reason. But what if there was more to it? What if psychologists knew something about serial killers that the rest of us don't? In this video, we'll explore the chilling world of serial killers, uncovering the secrets behind their twisted motivation. From childhood trauma to narcissism, they operate in ways most of us can't imagine. Let's peel back the layers of their psyche and reveal the darker, fascinating truth beneath the surface. Many serial killers show disturbing signs from a young age. Psychologists often notice patterns like cruelty to animals, fire setting, or even lying and stealing. These behaviors are red flags that something is wrong, but they are often overlooked or dismissed. Childhood trauma plays a huge role in shaping these individuals. Abuse, neglect, or unstable environments can damage a child's emotional development, leading to a lack of empathy or remorse later in life. The impact of these early experiences can be profound, as they might distort a person's sense of right and wrong. While not all children who face trauma become killers, many serial killers have histories filled with neglect, abuse, or abandonment. By understanding these early warning signs, psychologists hope to identify at-risk individuals before they turn to violence. These red flags can help us see patterns, but unfortunately, they are often recognized too late. Narcissism and psychopathy are key traits that often define serial killers. These individuals typically have an inflated sense of their own importance, believing they are above the rules that govern society. They seek admiration and power, often viewing others as tools to achieve their goals. Psychopathy, on the other hand, involves a complete lack of empathy or guilt. Psychopaths don't care about the feelings or suffering of others, which makes them capable of extreme violence without hesitation. These traits allow serial killers to act without remorse, as they do not form emotional connections to their victims. Psychologists find that these personality disorders often make it harder for these killers to form meaningful relationships. Instead, they exploit and manipulate others to fulfill their desires, using people as mere objects. This combination of narcissism and psychopathy is what makes serial killers so dangerous. They don't just hurt others for personal gain. They enjoy it and feel no guilt. For many serial killers, the act of killing is not just about causing harm. It's about gaining control and power. Psychologists often point to the fact that these individuals seek to dominate their surroundings and their victims. The thrill of having complete control over another person's life and death is intoxicating for them. It's not just about the murder itself, but the sense of power they get from it. Each killing reinforces their feeling of superiority, and they become addicted to the control it gives them. This need for control often extends beyond the act of murder. Serial killers will carefully plan their crimes, sometimes leaving behind clues or taunting messages for police or the public. This gives them further power over the investigation, keeping them in the spotlight. They thrive on the fear and confusion they create. Some even go out of their way to make their victims feel helpless, emphasizing their dominance. Understanding this need for control is crucial in profiling serial killers. It helps psychologists predict their next move, as they often continue their killing spree to satisfy this need for dominance. It also sheds light on why they go to such extremes. Violence is just one tool in their pursuit of power and control. The more they kill, the more their sense of control grows, keeping them trapped in a cycle of violence and manipulation. Serial killers often live in a twisted fantasy world where violence plays a central role. Psychologists have found that these killers are driven by compulsions and obsessions that fuel their violent behavior. These fantasies are not just fleeting thoughts. They dominate the killer's mind, influencing their actions and leading them to commit murder. For many serial killers, the act of killing is a way to bring their dark fantasies to life. These fantasies often begin long before the first murder. Psychologists believe that serial killers may spend years imagining the perfect crime or obsessing over violent scenarios. These vivid, often disturbing dreams can give them a sense of power and excitement. The fantasies become so real to them that they start seeing them as a need, not a desire. It's almost as if they can't resist the urge to act them out. Once they kill, the fantasy becomes a compulsion. The act of murder may be the only way they feel they can fulfill their obsessive urges. Psychologists describe this as an addiction, where the killer continuously seeks to recreate the thrill of the first kill. Each crime is a way to further immerse themselves in their fantasy world. These fantasies are a key part of their identity and drive, and understanding them can help predict when and how they will strike next. This obsessive compulsion often becomes the killer's undoing, as they lose touch with reality in their pursuit of fulfilling these dark desires. One of the most chilling aspects of serial killers is their ability to remain calm and collected, even in the face of extreme violence. While many criminals act impulsively, serial killers are often cool, calculating, and strategic. They plan their crimes carefully, sometimes for months, ensuring that every detail goes according to their twisted vision. Psychologists often refer to this as the mask of sanity, the ability to appear normal while harboring deep-seated darkness. This calm exterior is one of the reasons why serial killers are so difficult to catch. They don't panic or act out of anger. Instead, they remain composed and methodical. After committing a crime, many of them blend back into society, appearing like everyday people. They may continue with their routine, interact with loved ones, or even lead a public life, all while hiding their violent tendencies. Psychologists believe that this ability to compartmentalize their actions is what makes serial killers particularly dangerous. They are not driven by emotion or a momentary lapse in judgment. Instead, they see murder as a calculated decision, something that's been carefully planned and executed. This makes them less likely to make mistakes, as they have already anticipated the potential risks and prepared for them. Understanding this cool and calculating persona is crucial for profiling serial killers. It helps law enforcement identify patterns and behaviors that could point to a killer hiding in plain sight. This ability to separate themselves from their actions is a key psychological trait that makes serial killers so terrifying. Serial killers often develop distinct behavioral patterns, which can help psychologists understand their motives and predict future crimes. One of the most important aspects of their behavior is the signature they leave behind. This signature isn't necessarily a physical mark or a pattern of how they kill, but rather the emotional and psychological need they fulfill with each crime. For some killers, the signature might include specific methods of torture, posing the body in a certain way, or even leaving behind cryptic messages for authorities or the media. Psychologists study these signatures to understand the killer's psychological makeup. For example, a killer who always chooses victims of a specific age, gender, or appearance may be fulfilling a fantasy or desire that they can't achieve in their normal life. Others might use the same weapon or kill in a particular location, which could reflect their emotional attachment to that place or object. These patterns can also reveal the killer's escalation. Serial killers often begin with a single, isolated crime, but over time, their behavior tends to intensify. This escalation could be in the form of more violent killings, an increased need for control, or even a greater desire to engage with law enforcement and the media. As they kill more, they refine their techniques, and the crimes become more meticulously planned. By recognizing these signatures and behavioral patterns, psychologists and law enforcement can start to profile the killer. This can help predict when and where they might strike next, making it possible to catch them before they claim more victims. However, some serial killers may change their patterns over time, which makes profiling both a powerful tool and a challenging one. Serial killers are often categorized as either psychopaths or sociopaths, but what's the difference? Understanding this distinction is crucial for psychologists trying to pinpoint the root of their behavior. Psychopaths tend to be more calculated, cold, and manipulative. They plan their crimes with precision, often appearing charming and charismatic to those around them. Their lack of emotional connection makes them capable of extreme violence without any sense of guilt or remorse. Psychopaths are usually highly intelligent and can blend into society, making them difficult to spot until it's too late. On the other hand, sociopaths are typically more impulsive and erratic. While they still lack empathy, their behavior is often driven by intense emotional reactions and a disregard for social rules. Sociopaths tend to have a harder time fitting into society, and their actions are often less planned and more chaotic than those of a psychopath. They might lash out in anger or act without thinking, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Unlike psychopaths, sociopaths are more likely to form attachments to certain individuals or groups, but these attachments are shallow and easily manipulated for their own gain. Psychologists look at these traits when building profiles of serial killers, as the two types can exhibit different patterns of behavior. A psychopath's calm, calculating demeanor might suggest one approach to profiling, while a sociopath's impulsive and violent actions would require a different strategy. Understanding whether a serial killer is more psychopathic or sociopathic can help investigators determine how they think and what might drive them to kill, making it easier to predict their next move and ultimately stop them. Psychological profiling plays a crucial role in catching serial killers, as it helps investigators understand the killer's motivations, behaviors, and likely next moves. Profilers work alongside law enforcement to analyze the crime scenes, victimology, and the behaviors exhibited by the killer. By studying patterns in their crimes, such as victim type, method of execution, and location, psychologists can create a profile of the killer's personality and predict their actions. This information can narrow down the suspect pool and provide valuable leads. One of the key tools in profiling is the analysis of signature behaviors, as discussed earlier. Serial killers often have specific rituals, fantasies, or behaviors they need to satisfy during their killings. These can be indicators of their psychological state and desires. Profilers use this information to understand the emotional or psychological satisfaction the killer derives from their crimes, which can often point to the killer's background or psychological disorders. Investigators also rely on the killer's interactions with the media and law enforcement. Some killers deliberately engage with the public, sending letters or cryptic messages, which provides additional insight into their psychology. These behaviors suggest a need for recognition, control, or power over the investigation. Profilers can track these communications to understand how the killer views themselves in relation to society and the law, offering clues about their next move. Ultimately, the goal of psychological profiling is to anticipate the killer's actions before they strike again. By understanding the psychological drivers behind their crimes, law enforcement can make more informed decisions, increasing the chances of apprehending the killer and preventing further deaths. Understanding the mind of a serial killer isn't just about uncovering the dark psychology behind their actions. It's about learning how to prevent future tragedies. By studying their behavior, psychologists can identify early warning signs and potential risks, which could help law enforcement and society intervene before it's too late. Serial killers are often driven by deep psychological issues that, with the right attention, could be addressed earlier in life. The key takeaway here is that serial killers are not born. They are shaped by their experiences, mental health issues, and societal influences. By better understanding the factors that lead to these crimes, we can take steps to break this cycle before it starts. If you found this chilling, drop your thought in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the darkest corners of human behavior. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.